recent research. And my topic today is about the children's image of government in China. So, okay. Yeah, also I want to add this is a very wonderful platform for us to have this opportunity to communication. Okay, actually I'm a mother of two girls. And one day, my 3.5 year old girl came to me and said, "Mom, I learned a new poem at school. I want to share with you." I said, "Oh, great." So she started to say, "The little birds are the baby of the forest. They love the forest mother. The little stars are the baby of blue sky. They love the sky mother. I am the baby of the motherland. I love our mother, China." So she was just 3.5 years. So I just want to make a joke with her. I asked her, "Oh, sorry, my dear, who is your mother again?" And she looked at me and felt very upset and confused. And this is one, the stories with my kids and I. And another thing, when we were in Canada 2 years ago, one day when my 7 years old daughter saw a raccoon in our backyard. That is the first time for her to see raccoon, and she was really scared and cried, "Mom, call the police, hurry." And when I share this with my Japanese colleague, and he asked, "Why call the police, not firefighters?" And then I realized the difference between culture, because we always taught our kids that actually this picture is kind of, they have the problem in the translation. It's not difficulty to find the police. That is, if you have trouble, please call the police. Like this one, this is like the propaganda picture we can see everywhere in China. So, and also they also offer the military training program to the preschool. Actually, this is the preschool, the kindergarten. Um, Actually from age 3 to age 6, like that. And the third thing is that one day when we came back to China, and my daughter started the second grade in China. And one day she came to me, ask, "Mom, Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping, who is more powerful? Are they still alive?" So you see, they started to get a lot of information about political figures, issues, and a lot of things related to politics. But actually, they cannot really identify what they have learned. So this is the objective of my research. Is I really want to know the kids' opinion of government, and yes, that is how children get to know government, and where is the starting point, and what is the connection point between the kids and the political system in China. And if they have the stage like the developmental psychology, are there stages in children's political cognitions? So that is my research question. Um, so um, so when I go back to the research literature, I find that the political socialization research was dominant in 1960s and 70s in Western country, but this research didn't start in China until 1980s. And all the research subjects, most of them focus on college students. So the kids, how they teach the kids and how the political socialization in children is kind of missing here. And in English literature, we know that since 1950s, the study of children's imaging of political authority and presence has opened the way for children's political cognition research. And we may all very familiar with the following names like Fred Greenstein, Richard Hans, David Easton, and so on. So actually the findings of the Western research, just like that, is the benevolent leaders image. And also the initial object of political cognition is toward a specific authority, especially president. Yes, they said that when young children tend to associate the government with individual leaders and produce effective evaluation before they obtain enough political information and knowledge. And the structure of cognitive information is based on feelings, evaluations, and opinions. And the cognitive development precedes the development of critical ability. So children are far more mistakes than adults about their political orientation, and their attitude towards this political leader is very, it's just we call it the benevolent. Right? And also one study conducted just in 1960s, that is Hans and Easton's research, they just select nearly 400 students in grade 2 to 8 from the middle class school in Chicago, just to investigate the students' view on president's personality and moral quality, also the role ability, and compare those aspects of president with those the father of the children surveyed. So according to the survey, the children had a very positive impression of the president. And the younger students in particular tend to view unfamiliar political figures as in a positive light. So they also emphasize the importance of the pre-high school stage in political socialization. Yes, yes, the children in the first grade already have a certain degree of political socialization. That is uh, the funding. And the third fund is just that children's cognition changes. They also change from the specific authoritarian figure to abstract the political system and rules. And one in-depth interview with 115 children aged 5 to 6 found that children's political attitude changed radically between this age 5 to 16. So this funding is just okay. If we are familiar with the political socialization theory, I think this maybe you think it's just the old-fashioned things. It's too old literature, and also since 1980s there is very few studies follow this kind of things, because all they talked here just like the common sense. But I really want to know, I really curious about the situation in China. Okay, when I read the literature, I found one research that is by Richard Weston in 19, he did the research actually in Taiwan and wrote a very kind of famous book like Learning to be Chinese, the political socialization of children in Taiwan. He used the respondents from grade 2nd to 6th. So he found that the symbolic association of government which are attached to political leaders developed as early in Taiwan as in US. So I just want to see the situation in China and do the fundings in Western country and Taiwan applied to mainland China. So I did a replicate test in mainland China. Yes, this is the data. I just got the data from grade 1 to 9 students in public schools, including 5 elementary school and 4 middle school in urban and rural China. Yeah, that is the 1,000, over 1,000 valid questionnaires and over 500 boys and almost 500 girls. So these are the pictures I used in the association test. So yeah, this you can see this is the policeman and the chairman Mao Zedong, and this is the National Day, and this is the vote. We can see, and this is the court of justice, and this is the CCP, China's Communist Party. And the National People's Congress. This is the legislature in China, just like the legislature department. And this is the flag. And this is we can see the Marxism, Marx Lenin, like this is we said the official ideology in China, the Marxism, Leninism, and Mao Zedong thought. And this is our chairman now, Xi Jinping. So we put this pictures together and ask them what is the first two things come to your mind when you think of government, and who makes the law in China. Actually, we choose the picture based on the theory of institutional persistence theory of political socialization. That is the political support towards the political communicate and the political authority and political regime as the three levels at which members of society understand the political system. An individual's attachment, unconditional and blind loyalty, or unshakable patriotism to these three objects as the important source for the political system to obtain diffuse support and continue to exist. So the political authority, political regime, political community are the important content of political socialization and the important object of children's political cognition. And we pick the pictures according to the principles that appear most frequently in primary and secondary school textbook and daily life, and are closely related to Chinese government and politics. So that is why we choose these pictures. And also we agree that political cognition should include individuals' information and political imaging, also political affection. And for political imaging, we thought it is should be an individual's understanding of politics. That is how the individual understands the political world presented to him or her. This image is not necessarily consistent with objective political knowledge. So that means you can choose whatever you think to you when you think of government. So that is no correct answer. And also we put the political affection, that is individual's subjective feeling toward the politics. So that is why we also the research content about political imaging and affection. Okay, yeah, this is the data. Here's the data, the statistic results here. Yeah, here we can see that the top 5 images that come to mind of primary and secondary school is about the Mao Zedong and Xi Jinping, like the CCP, the Communist Party, and the National People's Congress. And this table just shows that most grade 1, we can see grade 1 students regard Mao Zedong and the policeman as their first impressions of political cognition. So I think it's the same findings just as the research in US and Taiwan. So it can be argued that children learned about politics through the political symbol of Mao Zedong and the closer authority figure, policeman. So for the top 3 imagement, we can see this. Okay, we can see from this figure that before the sixth grade, the students choose Mao Zedong, this green one, Mao Zedong, Xi Jinping, and Chinese Communist Party as their primary government image. But in junior high school, grade 7 to 9, we can see the the Xi Jinping and the National People's Congress and the Communist Party is there, as their images. And students' perception of political leader continue into very high grades. That is the recognition of Mao Zedong and the police gradually. Actually, I didn't put because the police is very low. We can see here's the police in with the grade rise, and it's getting lower and lower. So here we can see that a large proportion of students have taken Xi Jinping as this, the Xi Jinping as the image of government since the third grade. We can see the Xi Jinping from the third grade is getting higher, and here after the seventh grade, although institutional symbols such as the National People's Congress and the Chinese Communist Party began to dominate children's political cognition, but the status of political leader is not weakened, right? It's not weakened, and but further strengthened. So when we look backward for the research of Easton and Hans in 1960, they found that as children grew older, their perception of government shifts from the president to the congressional system. That is, children change from a very personal concept of government authority to a legal, rational, institutionalized, and personal political authority. By eighth grade, nearly half of the children choose election. Here's the voting election as the best symbol of government. So this is the case in US, but in case in Taiwan in 1970s, the research did by Richard Wilson shows that actually he used the analytical work of Easton and Dennis. So he gets get data from grade 1 to 6 and found that is found faster for Chinese, Sun Yat-sen, and also the flag, national flag, and three people's principle. This is the three principle of the people, like the official ideology in Taiwan, before 1980s, like that. And Jiang Kai-shi, that is the president at the time of survey, as the most important symbols of students' political imaging. So low grade students were more likely to choose Sun Yat-sen. You can see Sun Yat-sen is just getting low and lower, but more in the low grade, students will choose Sun Yat-sen and Jiang Kai-shi. But unlike American studies, Taiwanese children's choice about election and parliament didn't increase as they advanced in grade. And instead, the percentage remained relatively very low. So the main ideology of three principles of the people during the authoritarian period increased with the rise of grade. So which shows the importance of education to children's political cognition. Okay, here I put the three figures together. That is, it can be seen that like the study in other countries, children are initially guided into the political system through their cognition of political leaders. This is Mao Zedong, and also here maybe the policeman who serves the foothold and example of children's political cognition. But different from American studies, the children's cognition is transformed from the personal authority to the institutional ones. Chinese children's identification with the national political leaders constitutes the main content of their political image. You can see the Xi Jinping actually is always very consistent here. And leadership thinking occupy a deep-rooted position in Chinese children's political imaging. But it is important to note that the perception of authority changed a lot in seventh grade. You can see the before seventh grade, the Mao Zedong is more students choose Mao Zedong, but after seventh grade, Mao Zedong is just a sharp decline, but Xi Jinping will keep rise and rise. So it can be argued that probably after the seventh grade, Xi Jinping students distinguish between the real and the historical figures. So do you still remember my elder daughter's question, Xi and Mao, who is more powerful? Well, I think from this study, we will know that maybe when she turns to grade 6 or 7, he will probably understand this question. Okay, this is the imaging. Um, yeah, also, okay. Also, unlike this one is Taiwan's study. Taiwan study says the students' cognition of the mainstream ideology is enhanced after 5th grade. We can see after 5th grade, um, yes, the principle, this ideology education probably is just works. But in China, um, yeah, we can just go back to the tables. We in China, the Marxism al always just very few students choose this one as their image of government. So this one, the mainstream ideology, we can say has never established a strong link with the Chinese government. This is closely related to the lack of this curriculum in primary and secondary school, and also make us question the effectiveness of ideological education in China. And also, yeah, different from American students' emphasis with voting. We can see the voting is getting high and higher here. But in China, the students' image of voting is not getting higher with the grades rise. So yeah, students' choice of election doesn't increase with the rest of grades, but keeps a relatively low proportion. So this is about uh, the the first question. Yes, or which picture we will choose when we mention government, and actually this is yeah, here I just add some data from high school before I show you the figures just until grade 9. And last year I just yeah, yes, last October, last December, yes, my graduate students and I conduct some data, some research, and I collect some data from high school, and I just want to see if the image of government changed when the kids grew older. So in high school, we can see that in grade 10 to 12, the Chinese Communist Party here is, and the national, yeah, it's the National People's Congress here, this one, and also the Xi Jinping. These three ones are very the dominant image of the for the high school students. It should be noted that the number of people who choose Chinese Communist Party at this stage is the sum of the people who choose the NPC, the National People's Congress, and Xi Jinping. From primary school to senior high school here, and there is a process in which students institutionalize the cognition, replace personal cognition on the image of government. But for high school students, they know more about Chinese Communist Party than the National People's Congress and Xi Jinping, and even more than Mao Zedong. We can see Mao Zedong is, yeah, it's just going down and down and down, it's like this. So this is but another thing is very interesting is here about the policeman. Do you remember the ones when the one in grade 1 they choose the policeman as their very important image of government, but at during grade 4 to 9 it's very low. It's very low proportion, but from grade 9 and in the high school for the high school students, a lot of students start to take policeman as their first image of government. This is very interesting things. Okay, for the second questions, so in your opinion, who makes the law in China? Actually, for the political imaging, who is the first imaging when you see the pictures? We cannot not really know, because there's no correct answer. So we cannot know how the children know about the political knowledge or the political process in China. So we use these ones to ask them who is the lawmaker in China. And this is the data. On this side, excluding the National Day and the national flag options that are irrelative to the lawmaker, it can be seen that as children grow up, they are becoming more and more aware of the optional reality of China. So especially after grade 8, we can see after grade 8, yeah, most of the people already, most grade students already choose the National People's Congress um, as a lawmaker. And at the same time, the percentage of the people who choose Mao Zedong, Xi Jinping, and the country is going down. So maybe the figure is much clearer here. Right? Yeah, it's the National People's Congress and the Communist Party, but the count Xi Jinping and Mao Zedong, this one just going down. And when the okay, the same findings, we can see the ones in US, the same findings were shown in Eastern and Western's research. We can see after the grade 5th and the children in US knows who makes laws in US. And this one is the Western's also after, yeah, when the kids get older and they will know the political, yeah, how the political runs in their country. So this is the about the lawmaker here. Very similar. I think it's very similar findings with the previous ones. And also we add the data from the high school. We can see that the NPC, the National People's Congress, is getting higher, which is good. But it should be noted that election here, the votes, yeah, election after the grade in the high school, more and more students start to choose election as has some related to the lawmaker, but which is not considered as the major feature of Chinese political life before junior high school. And in third year of senior high school, 34% of respondents thought that election play an important role in the lawmaking, and the awareness of importance of count. Yeah, this the count is also gradually decreased, and the importance of CCP gradually increased. So this is the lawmaker ones. And to test the children's affection toward the political authority, we ask the question like, who is the head of the household? Who is your school administrator? Who is your city's administrator? Who is your state? Who is our country or the state administrator? And how do you evaluate him or her? In the questionnaire survey, these are the open-ended questions. So we coded these answers from 4 dimensions of positive evaluation, neutral, negative, and irrelative evaluation. So for the positive evaluation, we just categorize the answers. They have this, I think the 4 categories. First is just give the general appraisal, like good, I like him or her, I admire him or her, or just like he or she will have a great future like that. And the second, they will give the moral qualities, like he's very friendly, honestly, and affability and responsibility. Also said, oh, I like him or her, I like him like because he's very good look like that. So, and the third one is just the affirmation of ability, like the competent, yeah, competent leader, talented leader, or they will say the economy is going well like that. And the fourth is the positive rate of the work method and objective. Like they said, oh, he's very finished, also democracy, respect for everybody's opinion, empathy for the people, or thinking about the people, or bring benefit to the people like this. Um, yeah, this is the positive ones. And for the natural ones, because given the complexity of Chinese language, we put the response like not too bad, so as a neutral evaluation. And also they have some negative evaluations like very bad, unpleasant, I don't like it, afraid. Actually, this answer is, I just put here as the negative. They said, I'm afraid to judge, to give the judgment like that. And also some students also, I can do a bad job if I were a leader, very self-confident. Huh? So as well as the criticize of specific policies or authority figures, personalities, such as relatively corruption, or he demolish houses as he wishes, or not strict to economic development, or fierce, arrogant, bullying like this. And also they have some like the dialectical assessment, such as the most honest and fair, while a few of the officers are corrupt and accepting bribes. And also some said the head of a household sometimes make mistakes, or they say overall good government, but sometimes there are corruption. And also it also include evaluation without emotion judgment, such as being powerful or has authority, or the governor of our city, and some nonsense words such as don't do evil things, or we are a member of a society, and so on. So the statistics result are coding show like here. So from the table positive, in the positive attitude evaluation, respondents pay more attention to the, we can see to the, um, and this one is just the generous the comment, just good like that. So we just put the number here, but this one, this three is we categorize the reasons. We can see the for students, they emphasize the morality and responsibility here. So of the school, especially for the school and the state administrator, this is that is like kind-hearted, abide by duty, approachable, and incorruptible. And high school students, the evaluator of city and the state administrator, more yeah, is it they just more emphasize the fairness and consideration for the people in their work. So, okay, actually all this, I think, reflect the requirement of authority in Chinese political culture. The authority people, like the, as the Confucius said, a politician should be, should be righteous man, and the governors should not worry about the lack of wealth, but about the unequal distribution of wealth. So it can be seen from children's evaluation that that for the authority figures, the fairness and justice are deeply rooted in Chinese culture. And compared with primary and middle school students, high school students give more dialectical evaluation of city and state governor or administrator. So this is consistent with the conceptual complexity theory. That is, when the individual's cognition level has reached a certain level, there will be no black and white evaluation. So this is this evaluation, and then we assign values to the above categories. We like the we comments with negative attitude, we give it equal 1, and the neutral comments we equal 2, and positive ones equal 3, and the irrelative ones we equal 0. And we compare the mean value here The results shows just like the study, we can see that students' attitude toward the authority figures at different level are mainly positive. We can see the highest score is 3, especially for the state administrator. It's yeah, the mean is 2.99, is very very high, right? And yeah, it's and also the lowest one is also is just the 1.98. It's still very high. So the from the mean value, the higher the level of hierarchy, the more positive evaluation they get. We can see that this is consistent with the hierarchical political trust in China. Um, for the adult survey. So they said in China, it is that Chinese people has high trust in central government, but low trust in local and grassroots government. And also students in different grade have very different evaluation of different managers. There are no significant difference actually between the grades of head, head of a household and the school administration. So these ones they don't have um, the significant difference, but the school administrator and the state administrator, the statistic very significantly. And we can see that from the grade 10 to grade 12, it's just goes down, it's declined. So this is the uh, affection of the evaluation of students to the for the government. Okay, why? And I just want to go back to the funding, to the data, and analyze why the children will have this kind of imaging and affection. And we will remember that children learn about politics through the political symbol, Mao Zedong, and police, and this is validated in all the studies. And I think the social distance effect may be used to explain the change in the structure of children's attitude toward police and the political leaders. In the process of children's socialization, the policeman as a political figure uh, who uh, who entered children's world very early. When the family and the school conduct the safety education, they will see um, yeah, just like we saw before, like if you have any trouble, you go to the policeman. So the policeman is just the very common figure in children's daily life and reading books. This close social distance makes the policeman's protective or the punitive function very known to the children at early age. Also, at the same time, political education and publicity in school often refer to the political leaders with kinship titles such as the father of the country. And also we also call the grandpa. We call Xi Jinping grandpa Xi Jinping, grandpa Mao Zedong, which shortens the social distance between the children and the political leaders. Actually, this picture is the first page of the first value of first grade Chinese textbook. That means when the children go to the uh, primary school as the first class, we'll see this picture. The title is I Am Chinese, and with the picture of 56 ethnic groups, people, and also the picture of Tiananmen, and this is the picture of Mao Zedong. So it is hard to deny the role of these political symbols in strengthening students' perception of political leaders. Yeah, and also the second one is the Chinese children's identification with national leaders constitutes the main content of the political images. Authority figure imaging is deeply rooted in the political thinking of Chinese children. This is very different from the ones in US. And also national leaders play an important role in Chinese children's political cognition. However, it should be noted that great changes have taken place in cognition of authority in 7th grade. Before 7th grade, we can see that they represent with most dome. But after 7th grade, most students choose Xi Jinping as a symbol of political image. So it can be argued that, yeah, we can say that after 7th grade, students distinct between the real and historical figures and the ideological education and students and the schools education emphasizes on current political affairs play a role in it. And the third one is the role of CCP or the CP, the high cognition of the Chinese Communist Party of China indicates that children after the 4th grade have a clear understanding of the substantial power subjects in China's political operation and the special status of CPC in China's political system. Actually, this is the structure of political system in China. We can see the central community of the CPC, or we can see the constitution, actually the constitution of the People's Republic of China stipulates that the legislature of China is the National People's Congress. So this is the legislature, and over which the Communist Party actually has absolute leadership. So therefore, the cognition, children's cognition of Communist Party of China is also consistent with the Chinese political situation. It can be said that as students getting higher in the grade, they began to understand the difference between the rules of national leaders and the legislature. So this is, we can see this is the National People's Congress and the Communist Party. Yeah, and this is the military commission, and we will not mention here. So this is the people's actual students' imaging is really rooted in what they see in the society. And for the fourth things is the voting. Voting, we may remember that voting accounts for a very small percentage of Chinese students' government imaging, which is consistent with Wilson's research in Taiwan in 1960s. But this is in contrast with previous studies in US, which found that by 8th grade, nearly half of children choose election as the best symbol of government. So Chinese students' indifference to the election actually is not consistent with school education. Actually, before this research, I did a very how to say, the key for for the context of the context in primary and middle school context. So I just put some of the content of the context here. Actually, in their learning, in their education, we show them a lot of things about voting things, like the textbook of primary and secondary school has emphasized election and voting as the basic rights and the decision-making method of students and the citizens since since 5th grade. Yes, from grade 5, the students start to know a lot of things about the vote or the election. This one's the first picture is about the like the election for the class class card here about the procedure. And also here they like the election is the civil rights for the to participate people in the political life. So and also a lot of things. I just collect all the information about elections in the context book. There are more than 50 places. They have this kind of things about the election. But it's very, and also in the practice, because my elder daughter, she's in grade 3, and asking from grade 2, they start to have the vote in class when they want to get the class card like that. So like this ones, it's very common now in the primary schools, that primary school. Mm, but this kind of experience, yes, the concept of the election consistently appeared and strengthened in textbook and the macro environment of students themselves, but don't seem to affect children's cognition of the importance of election. Why is that? So probably we just, when we go back to that, I think in children's political cognition, election doesn't change significantly with the rest of grade, which is worth of reflection. Because the run for the class card makes students have more sense of democracy and competition. But the understanding of election in political life requires political practice experience. In China, due to the lack of social publicity and publicity activities in the election of National People's Congress deputy at all levels. So this just lacks the adults activity. This kind of adults activity is far away from the life experience and the political practice of primary and the middle school students. So of course, we don't have a lot of mobilization. We don't have the debate. We don't have the TV mobilization like that in our daily life during the election for the deputies of the NPC or the communist party. So actually the students, they're not very familiar with this kind of, we call it very important political activities, but it's far away from them. So even though they get a lot of knowledge about the election things, and they know the knowledge about the elections very important, and it's a very important decision-making method in uh, how to say, in our political life. But when you ask about the political imaging, they will not think about voting or election even when they are getting older. So here I think it's the social political environmental factors, like the social experience, is really very important here. So it's worth noting that in high school stages, besides identify the People's Congress as the primary legislators, students choose voting as their second choice, which was not widely mentioned among students before high school. So actually, I'm not ready for explain this ones. I still think about that. Why in high school students, when we ask about the lawmakers, first they will think the NPC, and second they will put the voting here. I'm not sure if cause in high schools in China's constitutes people over 18 years old, they can uh, they can to vote. So I don't know if this kind of experience gives had some impact. Um, Okay, yes. The fifth one is after the seventh grade, students began to clarify the government's legislator. So it shows that the the complex political option process and functions of political institutions can only be understood and mastered after they have certain political knowledge, uh, especially imparted in school curriculum, and they should get the a certain of cognitive level, and also for the political affection. I thought the hierarchical evaluation about also authority figures is very is very obviously, and also the critical consciousness in high school students. That means the evaluation, they don't have the statistic significant significance. Also, the most is about the very general how to say, the assessment. So this is I thought the high school is a very important line here for the critical citizens. So the evaluation and attitude of children toward the different authority reflect the political culture of hierarchical trust in China. That means the higher the level of managers and the more inclined the students are give them the positive evaluation. So this study analyzes the children are more critical of low level authority figures, while they have high praise for the highest level of political authority. And children's judgment of authority and its criteria are consistent with Chinese traditional culture and political values, like the fairness and justice. So this is the hierarchical political trust with a positive attitude toward high-level government and the emphasis on the personal morality and the responsibility of authority figures, as well as the attention to like the fairness and justice serve for the people.
Hello. Hi.
To political, they experience the trust in government and also to the political cynicism to the political figures, whereas the political socialization process of Chinese children is just full of emotion, identification, and cultivation of political leaders and political systems, which is one of the difference between Chinese and the Western political socialization. Also, statistics show that the change in Chinese um, the change in Chinese children's attitude toward authority doesn't occur before high school. So high school children are more critical of city administrator, although they are more positive about the state. You can see um, the data here. Although they are very positive, but the data, there is still a trend of decline year by year. Okay, yeah, these are my research. So actually, when I reflect this research, I think probably there are some problems in this study. One is when we go to the classroom and we deliver the questionnaire to the students, this start to take the pains just like taking exams. Even though we told them, oh, there's no right answer or wrong answer, it's just for research. But the students, especially some teachers, they will think, oh, we'll give the right answer. So we actually we got some invalid questionnaire. So we delayed the invalid questionnaire and also the ones that they got the hints from the students, the teachers. And also for the sample bears, because for the high school sample, we used in this study all from the ordinary high school. But in China's education system, half of the students usually, um, yeah, usually those who do poorly in school will enter the vocational education system after 9 years of compulsory education. So their emotion standards towards the authority figures deserve further study. Also, just like the political socialization in the world, we need more longitudinal study, not only the cross-sectional studies. So yeah, this is on my sharing. Thank you very much for your attention, and I really hope you can give me some suggestions about this research.
Thank you.